I've got one question for you. Are you ready to get your game on?
The longest-running off-road and action motorsports radio show on the planet is coming to you live with the biggest guest in motorsports. Here is the only man on the planet who can pack this much dirt slinging and tire slaying into 2 hours a week. Sit back, strap in, and be prepared to get your ears blown. Here is Jim Beaver and the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.
Good morning and welcome to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. We are lit up by Rigid Industries, schooled by Dirtfish Rally School, and you can't forget anywhere is possible with General Tire. I'm your host, Jim Beaver, and man, it is gas on, game on today. First off, I got done doing a little pre-running action over the weekend, Best in the Desert Parker 250, and then we had the 425 pre-run, so we're going to be talking a little bit of desert racing later on in the show. But we are slam-packed today. 4 guests on tap. Kicking things off here in just a couple of minutes, we are going to have Fredric Aasbo, the man behind Dream Ride LA. He is going to be live on the show, and we're going to be talking about taking over the streets of Los Angeles and filming some viral videos, some Formula Drift, and talk about a great interview on tap with a Norwegian. And I got to tell you, man, we are full-on global today. We've got Fredric Aasbo calling in from Norway talking about Los Angeles. We've got Ami Houde calling in from Canada. She's going to be talking about Supercross in Phoenix. We've got Dani Medin, who was on ground in Minnesota for Snocross. Now she's back in San Diego. She's going to be calling in. And then we got Chris Leone calling in from Boston, who was up in Maine for Red Bull Frozen Rush. So if that's not enough global for you, I tell you what, global logistics each and every Monday right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. And if you want to chat with me, if you got a question for any of our guests today, at JimBeaver15 on Twitter, shoot me those questions and I will definitely get them on air, ask them to our guests. We love hearing the fans' feedback and your questions, so feed them to me. That's at JimBeaver15 on Twitter, and we will get them asked. Man, also, Dakar, that's going on. One of the biggest races in the world ever, throughout the year. That's happening right now. We're going to recap Dakar in the Dirtfish Rally Report. Obviously, Supercross, Snocross, Red Bull Frozen Rush. Big news coming out of Polaris Razor. We're going to be talking about the Parker 250 a little bit. A lot of product announcement. Ford dropping some bombs this morning. Literally, Ford Motor Company dropping bombs. We're going to get into those bombs later on. I got to tell you, 4 guests, a ton of events. I don't know how you can pack much more shenanigans into 2 hours, but we are going to try here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Once again, at JimBeaver15, if you want to hit us with some questions for some of our guests. Definitely looking forward to hearing from you fans and what you thought about the weekend's racing action, because I got to tell you, there was a ton of it. What did you tune into? What did you watch? I want to know. Did you tune into Red Bull Frozen Rush online? How about Supercross, Snocross? Were you live in attendance at the Parker 250? I want to know. Hit me up at JimBeaver15, and we will definitely get to those questions. But right now, it looks like we are going to cut to an interview. Looks like with Fredric Aasbo, as we've got him calling in from Norway. All right, we are here with Formula Drift competitor and the man behind Dream Ride Los Angeles, Fredric Aasbo. How's everything going, Fredric?
It's great. Thanks for having me.
No, super stoked to have you. First off, you're calling in from Norway. How's the weather up there? I'm almost scared to ask.
Yeah, well, it's pretty cold. I'll give you that. I'm actually packing right now for a short surf trip. I got to escape the cold for a little bit, but other than that, everything's great out here.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit before we get into talking about Dream Ride LA and stuff. Talk a little bit about the drift scene up there in Norway, because I know before you went into Formula D and stuff. I mean, you did some drifting up there, and most people coming from Scandinavia, they're it's rally cross, stuff like that. I mean, how'd you get into drifting?
Well, first and foremost, Norway is really small. All the Scandinavian countries are pretty small compared to anything U.S. We're only 5 million people in Norway, And still, we have drift events over here pulling crowds of 45,000 people. So I'd say the car interest out here goes really deep. Like you said, there's a lot of rally heritage, a lot of rallycross. Most of the rallycross stuff you're seeing in GRC right now actually started in Scandinavia, in Sweden and in Norway. So there's a ton of cars, a ton of drivers, ton of interest. We just don't have the numbers to match the U.S. So for me, it was always all about taking what I knew from here, get to the States. And my dad was into grassroots rallying, so that's kind of where I got the interest from. So it's a really cool mix between the Scandinavian culture and the American culture in anything rallycross and drifting right now, and I'm really happy to be a part of that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. I mean, you're following. I mean, almost. You're one of the guys. I mean, it's you and Vaughn and a few others. You legitimately have a worldwide following. And in part, a lot of it's because you're from that area of the world and you come to the United States. But it's got to be pretty exciting for you. No matter where you travel, to have a fan following.
Totally, and I'm stoked, man. I have a third of the followers coming from Norway, and I should say the Scandinavian countries. A third is in the U.S., the rest is in Asia, and I drift for 3 teams now. You have Papadakis Racing in the U.S., which is the elite team and the brains behind the Dream Ride LA short film. But I also race for RSR, which is one of the drift pioneers. They put on the first drifting event in the U.S. way back in 2001, I think. And, just learning from the Japanese style and their way of drifting, and then pairing that with what Stefan and his guys have been doing in the U.S., and then throwing the Scandinavian, feel into it has been a pretty cool project. And we jokingly call it the Fusion Kitchen because you have a little bit of everything in it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and talking about drifting, I mean, how do you've drifted in Asia and Formula D Asia, obviously the United States. You've done events in Europe. I mean, how do you compare the events in the different areas of the world? And then talking about that, I mean, I know the World Championship, that's the big thing coming up. You're going to be able to compete in that, or just the Formula Drift United States rounds?
So we're definitely setting up to do the World Championship, and we won the Asian Championship in 2014, and we have a pretty good setup going. And what's really cool is that the drift world is uniting right now. Back in the day, it used to be a little bit of a, not discrepancy, but definitely clear differences between the JDM or the Japanese style and the American style. Now those styles are merging, and you're seeing Formula Drift get into Japan, get into Southeast Asia, even putting some feelers out in Europe. And, regulations are getting tighter and closer and similar across the world. And everything's shaping up for a pretty serious World Championship in the years to come.
Yeah, well, and that's got to be exciting for everyone, having everybody on the same page on a global scale. It really helps to, to package the sport and sell it to the masses.
Totally. And, wherever we go, we see people that love drifting, and whether they're grandmas or kids or whatever they are, everybody seems to love drifting. And I think the fact that it comes from sort of like a street background in a world where professional motorsports is becoming more and more homogenous. In F1, you literally have to fit into a template to even be able to drive the car. In something like drifting, you still have the roster that is kind of similar to a wrestling match. You have the American, you have Captain America, Von Gittin Jr., you have the Ninja from Japan, Daigo Saito, you have the Clown from Norway, myself. You still have all those different characters and all those different cars, different engines. It's really diverse. So I feel like drifting has its place, still a lot of room to grow. And we haven't seen the best of it yet.
Yeah, well, and just me, having been to a few drift events and covering it on the show, and having a relationship with some of the drivers. I mean, I can tell you, just I guess an outsider looking in, especially the past 3 years. I mean, the competition level in Formula Drift, it's just insane. I mean, there's no, you get down to 32, and there's no easy round. It's used to be, qualify first or second, you're gonna have an easy time getting in the next round. Now it's not that way at all. I mean, it's 32 tough drivers that could all possibly take a win.
Oh man, yeah, tell me about it. There's no free lunch, that's for sure. And you have the case is that a lot of the tricks from the pro teams are trickling down into the privateers, so they end up having awesome cars, and they're learning the strategies. They're obviously amazing drivers as well, so it's really fierce. And with the grip levels we're running now, 600, 700, 800 horsepower is at the verge of not being enough. When we run somewhere like Irwindale on the big bank, the cars are dialed for max grip because part of the competition is actually gapping the other guy. So at the end of the day, it's a race, and these cars are out of control. And when you're chasing someone like that, man, you can't even see. And, you're rubbing the wall, full throttle, close to 1,000 horsepower. It's such a rush. And when you master that and you beat the competition, and then when you end up on the podium in an event like that, it's the best feeling ever.
Yeah. Well, and talking about your car with Papadakis, I know, you're running a Scion, obviously 4-cylinder. I mean, how is that competing against some of the guys with the big V8s like Vaughn?
Right. So that's an interesting one. And the American way, and the American way has been the more cubes, the better. And there's no doubt about that being the right approach to it. Because if you're allowed to run a big of a motor as you can possibly fit into the car, then why not? But my crew and Stefan Papadakis, they have a history of taking on the trickier setups. They have a history of taking on the cars that seemingly wouldn't do well, flip that upside down, and perform really well on track. And I'll be honest, when I came under the wing of Scion and under, Steph's team back in 2011, I wasn't completely sold on the idea of running a 2.7 liter against 7 or 8 liter supercharged V8s either. But these guys have basically blown my mind. And what we do with that puny 4-cylinder now, it's pretty amazing. We push, I would say close to 800 horsepower. We have nitrous for bottom end spool. We run straight ethanol. And that thing holds up like a champ. And that motor is, in fact, one of the new generation eco motors from Toyota. And what we're seeing is that the eco features actually help make power and reliability. So I think it's not only my mind that's blown from seeing what that little 4-cylinder can do, but a lot of people in the industry as well have a lot of respect for what Steph and that engine program can do.
Yeah, I know I do. It was, especially this past year. I mean, you got about as close to winning the championship as you can without, actually winning it. Just 1 or 2 rounds going a different way for either you or Chris, and you would have been, crowned champion. But, speaking of that, I mean, you were right there this year. I mean, what's it take in 2015 to take home that championship?
It's not getting any easier. And like you said, it came down to the very last battle of the year, and Chris and his guys did a stellar job all season, and we were right there. And what's funny is that we actually beat Chris 4 times this year, and still he beat us in the overall championship. So one could say that we were his kryptonite. So in 2015, it's going to take even better strategy. And for me, I need to qualify better, because last year, that's basically where we lost it. I wasn't aggressive enough. I still have a lot of room to grow into the role of being a better drifter. But we had really good reliability, good consistency on track. We had a great car, but there's still room to tweak that car and go faster, put down more angle. And it's a little bit unknown right now what it's going to take at the end of the day, because a lot of guys are building new cars, which on one side may lead to an even higher competition. But historically, a lot of the new builds tend to have problems as well. So I don't think we're going to know until we show up in Long Beach in April for round one.
Yeah. So, talking about Long Beach, Southern California, the big reason we had you on air today is, a little video called Dream Ride LA dropped. And I got to tell you, man, it looks like you had a ton of fun filming that piece.
Yeah, that was such a rush. And, coming from Scandinavia, coming from somewhere far, far away, deep inside a forest out here in a little cold town called Ski, I was sitting here as a kid watching Baywatch, and I saw that California sun, I saw LA, I saw that stuff, and I dreamt of what it would be like, doing something like that in the City of Angels. And fast forward 25 years later, we've done it.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool accomplishment. I feel really honored to have been a part of it. We basically blocked down some pretty epic scenes in downtown LA for a couple of days there. Gave Dylan the kid the ride of his life, and it was as fun as it looks like.
Yeah. Well, and I got to ask you, how did the whole concept come about with this? I mean, is it something, you guys got together on and said, hey, let's do this? I mean, was a sponsor coming in? I mean, how did this come about? Because, I would love to take my, off-road truck to LA and have some fun in the streets, but, it's just not something you do. So, I mean, I'm just curious kind of, how the history on it and how the whole project came together.
Oh, man, I'd love to see that truck in L.A. Let me just start off by saying that. But basically, Ken Block and other people as well have been doing a great job of merging the boundaries between the short film and car video content. And Ken's obviously done a great job with this Gymkhana series. And if anything, this is a hat tip to him. And 3 years ago, we were talking about using the TC for more stuff, because we have this badass car. Why don't we use it for more stuff than just competition? Yeah. So that was the original idea. And then Stefan and Larry Chen, Speed Interest photographer, had a chat on a plane to China discussing a ride-along concept. And once I heard about that, it clicked immediately, because we don't have to be the stars. I mean, in everything we do, be it on track or be it in marketing stuff from Scion or Hankook or our other sponsors, it's always the car being in the focus, or me as a driver, or the team. So we feel like we get enough love. We wanted someone else to be the star, and that's where we brought in Dylan, the kid. We wanted him to be given the ride along of his life, because we know how many people ask us to get a ride along in that car. We wanted to show people what that looks like. And then we brought on board Mike Titus, who's an up-and-coming great Hollywood director. He's been working with the Wayans brothers, has a really good sense of storytelling. And he put down a couple of synopsises, some scripts, bounced a couple ideas off of us, and this is what we ended up with. And Steph went to work on getting the permits to do this, which is a big deal. It's really tricky to get the permits to do this, because it's in the middle of LA,
Yeah.
They figured it out, but right as we had everything lined up, we learned that Ken would be doing his Gymkhana stuff in LA as well. And at first it was a little bit of a bummer, but then we realized we're actually doing two different things. And I think it both what Ken does and what we do adds to the spectrum of car videos. And in that respect, we're really happy with how everything turned out.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen both of them now, and to me, I mean, they're both entertaining. I loved both of them. I mean, I don't think one hurt the other one bit. It's going back to your concept, though. I mean, about this kid and the dream ride. I mean, how did Dylan get to be the lucky kid to be in this video?
Well, so he actually, well, his dad actually knows Mike, and I think it was something along these lines where Mike was thinking, where can we find the right kid for this? And it just clicked with him, and Dylan proved to be the one. So I think he has a strong future in commercials and stuff like this, because he had some pretty solid expressions.
Yeah, and I think I was seeing those, and I'm like, is he acting, or is he's literally that thrilled? And I think I think he was just having a good time.
Yeah, the thing is, a lot of guys. So I've been taking a lot of guys for ride-alongs in our drift cars around the world, and some people. So the people that aren't avid drivers, they treat it as a little bit of a roller coaster ride. And Dylan would be in that category. He didn't know exactly what to expect and where the car would turn. You actually see that in the video where his head is kind of being thrown from one side to the other.
Yeah.
Whereas the guys that are good drivers and know the physics of race cars, they typically get blown away by how quick these cars can change direction and, how much grip is actually dialed into these cars. So it's really cool to see the different responses and reactions to what's going on. And I've had people shake uncontrollably, but they're trying to light a cigarette when they get out of the car. They can't figure it out because they're shaking too much or stuff like that. So it's really cool to show the world what it looks like getting a ride along.
Yeah. Well, and I can tell you, me from personal experience, obviously having, experience in trophy trucks, and I've tested some global rallycross cars, and I've been a fan of drifting forever, watched it at SEMA this year. Ryan Turk took me in a ride along with him, and, I've known Ryan for a long time, and me having experience sideways going in that car, I had no idea. I mean, I have all the respect in the world for what you guys do and how you can, hit your points like you do. I mean, I've got experience sideways, but there's no way I could do, what you guys are doing without a ton of practice.
Well, we're on the ground at least. In a trophy truck, you're in the air half the time, so right back at you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a little bit different. But, we need to get a series, right, where we can mix rally and off-road and drifting and swap everybody and everybody's cars, right?
Sign me up for that.
Yeah, exactly. So, what else is on tap for you in 2015? Obviously, Dream Ride LA, that dropped. It's got to be, really exciting to do that. I know, we've got the Formula Drift kickoff, only a couple months out in Long Beach. Between now and then, what are you going to be up to?
So right now I'm in Norway planning out the season. I just got back from Japan before Christmas for the finals out there. We have a lot of stuff going on. We have the 3 race cars that are now being serviced and prepared for a really tough season of drifting. I do about 20 events a year. And this year we're looking to mix it up a little bit, where we obviously charge as hard as we can for the Asian Championship and the U.S. Championship. But over here in Europe, I want to do more film stuff. I have some pretty exciting ideas that I want to pull off, and I think Dream Ride LA is going to give us the leverage we need to get the right people on board. So I want to explore the world of entertainment even more, and I want to build bridges between different sports, be it motorsports or traditional action sports or whatever it is. I want to think outside the car community a little bit and be bold and brave enough to do bigger and wilder things. So I'm really excited for 2015. Really happy for all the opportunities I've been given, and I can assure you I'll be working hard to push forward.
Yeah. Well, and do you feel like, to an extent, that maybe Europe and Scandinavia, as far as like viral films and entertainment type stuff, is maybe a little bit of an untapped market? I mean, in the United States, we see Recoil with BJ Baldwin. We've seen Ken's videos. Obviously, Dream Ride LA. A lot of these locations have been used and recycled, and people have seen them. But I feel like there's a lot of racing that happens in Europe. But as far as like the viral videos, I feel like that might be an untapped market with some of these locations and things.
Watch this space.
You watch this space. All right. Well, I think that might be a good spot to leave us on. Do you got anybody you want to give a shout out to, or anybody you'd like to thank before we let you go? And where can people find out more information on Fredric Aasbo?
So Facebook, I'm there. Instagram, fredricaasbo.com. I'll be competing with Papadakis Racing for the full Formula Drift schedule in the U.S. and RSR in Asia, and our Toyota Speed Hunters deal in Europe. So yeah, please follow what we do on social media. And Jim, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, thank you, my friend, and we'll definitely have to catch up soon. Hopefully, I can make it out to Long Beach and check out the kickoff.
Please do.
All right. All right. Definitely will. Thanks a lot, Fredric.
Thanks, Jim.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, Fredric Aasbo, I got to tell you, talk about a personality and a character, and just a solid guy, and gives you a real interview. We talked a lot about Dream Ride LA, but gives you a good feeling about what happens behind the scenes in Formula Drift, and and really cool. I mean, talk about a great guy, a great ambassador for the sport of drifting worldwide, and looking forward to seeing some of these viral videos that he hinted out coming out of Europe. I think that would definitely be solid. And I got to tell you, we got to figure out a way. We're going to put Chris Leone on the spot, who's our next guest here in just a few minutes. I think we need to figure out a series that combines off-road rally drifting, almost like an IROC series. Everybody swaps the cars, kind of like they do with Supercross, where they mix surfers and motocross guys and do an event over 2 days. Like, it doesn't need to be a series, but I'm thinking, one-off once a year. Sure, you could get sponsors behind it. I think it'd be fun. Definitely be a great mix. So I don't know, brainstorming here, but we're gonna get in here real quick to a new segment for the Down and Dirty Radio Show, calling it Polaris Razor's Edge UTV News. So brought to you by our good friends at Polaris. Find out more information at Polaris.com, and go and drive one of the new XP1000s today. And Polaris just dropping a bunch of new models last week, pretty much when we got off air, but a new Fox Edition 1000, some updates to the 900s, new colorway for the XP4 1000. So you definitely want to go and check that out. Polaris all over their website by now. Friends at UTV Underground, they got full coverage of that, but dropping quite a few new models, always progressing. Looking really, really stoked to try out one of these new Fox Edition Razor 1000s. I think that should be a lot of fun. But as we left you last Monday, I told you guys, I hinted at it. I said, hey, huge Terracross news dropping tomorrow. You definitely want to check out Terracross, their social media feed, and lo and behold, the Terracross news involved me. That's right, yours truly. I will be racing the Terracross series in 2015. Looks like we got 3 rounds of racing. I know one's in San Diego. I believe one is in Charlotte. The other is to be determined, maybe in the Midwest somewhere. But I will be racing the Terracross series. In addition to, I'll also be hosting a new radio show. We're going to call it Terracross Radio. We'll be airing live from all the Terracross events. Guys like Levi LaValle, Jeremy McGrath, the regulars in the Terracross series, RJ Anderson. We'll have a lot of them stopping by, and should be fun. So stay tuned for more information on that. We'll definitely be using the Down and Dirty Radio Show network, and you fans that listen to us each and every Monday, we're going to be using the same network to get the radio show out there, but should be a lot of fun. So a lot more to come on that, but I will be racing the Terracross series. Also, just announced a few minutes ago, but Polaris, the new title sponsor of the Mint 400, and General Tire still involved. They flip-flopped. It used to be the General Tire Mint 400 presented by Polaris Razor. Now it's the Polaris Razor Mint 400 presented by General Tire. So just flip-flopping there, a little flip-flop, changing things up, but stoked to see General Tire and Polaris both involved in the Mint 400 once once again. Also, a quick note, Mastercraft Safety, our good friends at Mastercraft, just dropped some new UTV seats called the Compass seats. They bolt right into the Polaris RZR platform, and I believe the price point in the mid-$200 range, so, not real expensive. A few different colorways, silver, reds, I believe some blues, so definitely check them out, mastercraftsafety.com, and, they'll take care of you and, get you in some new RZR seats. So definitely check those out. Pretty solid and a bolt-in quick swap. So if you're looking for some new seats, Mastercraft Safety has you covered. And we're going to get to some quick best in the desert results from the Parker 250. UTVs, motorcycles, quads in action. I don't have full results for the motorcycles and quads. We're going to have to get to that next week. I apologize. I can tell you that Robbie Bell took the overall win in the Open Pro motorcycle class. I do have full results for the UTVs, though, and your winner was John Angel out of Mesa, Arizona, taking the win. Really close behind Craig Scanlon in the Polaris, taking home that second-place spot. Ryan Pullman, you know him from the trophy truck class. He's also running some Polaris RZRs this year, it looks like. He took home third place. Fourth went to Christina Perkins. Fifth went out to Jonathan McVeigh. Justin Lambert in sixth, Jason Murray seventh, eighth went to Michael Easom, ninth went out to Cody Nygren, and rounding out your top 10 was Brian Bush. So, congrats goes out to all those winners. Also, some other winners in the UTV ranks at the Best in the Desert Parker 250 in Class 2900 Sportsman. Logan Goodall took home the win. Also in Class, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused here, but Unlimited, it says Unlimited Pro, I guess. We're Class 29, number 2903. It was Brad Grigo taking home the win there as well. So that is your UTV results from the Best in the Desert Parker 250. We will get the motorcycle and quad results next week on air, but that has been your Polaris Rager's Edge UTV news for this week, brought to you by our good friends at Polaris. Find out more information on the web at Polaris.com or check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR. So when we come back, it will be Chris Leone from Red Bull GRC. He'll be calling in, but not going to be talking GRC this week. We're going to be talking about Red Bull Frozen Rush. He was up on ground in Maine, and he's going to have a full recap of Frozen Rush. So stay tuned to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR.
I'm Polaris rider Levi LaValle, and I choose Polaris just because they have the best quality, highest performing, most fun machines out there.
Only one company has taken Levi LaValle to 10 X Games medals, Snocross championships, a double backflip, and a world record long jump of 412 feet across the San Diego Harbor on New Year's Eve, and that company is Polaris. Whether it's dominating the X Games, racing a stock Polaris RZR XP1000 in the Terracross Championship, or just hitting the trail on the weekend, for over 20 years, Levi has relied on the same quality Polaris vehicles and products you can purchase at your local Polaris dealer. Take the advice of action sports legend Levi LaValle and visit Polaris on the web at Polaris.com to see the full lineup of Polaris vehicles, or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR.
Rigid Industries is the original and #1 LED light bar manufacturer in the world. Torture tested by some of the best drivers in motorsports. Rigid LED lighting products use cutting-edge technology and can stand up to the harshest conditions Mother Nature can dish out. Designed, engineered, and assembled in the United States, Rigid LED lighting is the only choice for your off-road vehicle or boat. Find out more information on the entire line of Rigid Industries LED lighting products at www.rigidindustries.com. Dirtfish Rally School is the premier rally driving school on the West Coast, located in Snoqualmie, Washington. If you're looking for a ton of fun with world-class driving instructors honing your skills, Dirtfish is the place for you. Dirtfish has 315 acres of playground with mixed surfaces for your driving experience. You can spend anywhere from 2 hours to 3 intense days of instruction refining your driving and racing skills. Whether you are looking for credits towards your Rally America license, honing your racing skills, or just having a fun time, Dirtfish is your school. Your classroom is behind wheel of a 300 horsepower rally-prepped Subaru STI. These cars have protective cages, suspension modifications, and are built for one purpose: to push you to your limit. By the end of your time at Dirtfish, you will have the confidence to rally with the best. Whether you're looking for a thrilling first-time rally experience or to increase your knowledge and time in the driver's seat, Dirtfish has a driving experience to suit your needs. For any information on their classes, corporate events, or their facility, check them out on the web at www.dirtfish.com or on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dirtfish Rally.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR, lit up by Rigid Industries, schooled by Dirtfish Rally School, and anywhere as possible with General Tire. I'm your host, Jim Beaver, and we've had one heck of a show so far. We're only 30 minutes deep into this thing. Fredric Aasbo, Formula Drift competitor, Mr. Dream Ride LA, he was on air just a few minutes ago. You definitely want to skip back, catch that interview if you missed it. Always a good time with Fredric Aasbo. Right now we're going to jump to my good friend Chris Leone with Red Bull GRC, but we're not talking Red Bull GRC today. We're going to be talking some Red Bull Frozen Rush with Mr. Chris Leone. How's everything going, Chris?
I am doing well, Jim. How are you?
I'll tell you what, it is, life is good right now. I just got to tell you, we're rocking and rolling, and just got done with Fredric Aasbo, and I got to tell you, I told everybody I'm going to put you on the spot. I am doing it now. Fredric and Aasbo and I came up with an idea, and I think this would be kind of fun. I want your take on it, because I like throwing some curveballs at you. You know how I am. But
oh, believe me, I know.
we need to have a series, and this is just a brainstorm here. It would be like, not a series, okay, a one-off event once a year, okay? And it would basically combine off-road, rallycross, Formula Drift, and you would get cars from each series, and you get drivers from each series, and we rotate. So everybody competes against everybody else in the cars, and it could just be, I don't know how you would do it, but I think something like that. I know they do it with motocross. It's called Supercross, and they get professional surfers and professional motocross racers. One day they race motocross, one day they compete in surfing, and there's teams. So we'd have like teams of 3 drivers, one GRC driver, one off-road guy, one Formula Drift guy, and they'd all 3 be on a team. And you kind of do a team, and everybody rotates and drives everybody's cars. I think something like that would be super, super cool.
Man, you're blowing my mind. It is too early on a Monday morning for that.
Yeah, I'm always working angles, so anything that can get me in the seat of a GRC car, a Formula Drift car, I'm all for it. So if I can create a series that's going to allow me to drive something, all right, we're golden, right?
Yeah, no, I hear you. It'd be fun as heck. I mean, there were a lot of these guys. I mean, one of the great things about GRC is you've seen a lot of our drivers have had success in these other forms of motorsport. I mean, Tanner Felst, obviously, he's been a Formula Drift champion. He's been a GRC champion. And he spent some time in an off-road truck last year. You got Reese Millen with his Formula D championship. The thing is, I like that idea because I think a lot of our drivers would just go out and dominate everybody. Uh-huh. I think we got the best drivers in the world in Red Bull GRC. I think we would kick some tail.
Yeah, I would agree with you. You've got some of the best drivers in the world. Obviously, I can name a ton of great drivers, but I think Red Bull GRC has the most diverse group of drivers in the world, and I don't even think that's disputable. I think, the diversity of Red Bull GRC, it's just, we've talked about it before as a melting pot, but that's a good thing in this case. I mean, Formula One, you've got off-road guys, drifters, rally racers, you've got road racers. You got skateboarders. I mean, you've had BMX riders. It's literally, a combination of all things action sports. I mean, Deegan, he's a motocross guy. It's pretty crazy. Shoot, I mean, going so far, Steve Arpin raced snowmobiles.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, every race is an all-star race. It just so happens that we put on more than one of them, and we end up awarding a championship at the end. So, it's always cool to have kind of that all-star vibe going around a GRC event. And that's been one of the biggest things that we've had really since the beginning, with all these guys coming in from a bunch of different places. It's kind of interesting sometimes to think about how, you look at NASCAR, and NASCAR is a series that existed long before, any of the drivers who are racing in it now. Those drivers are what they are because of NASCAR, and it's the same way with IndyCar and the same way with F1. In our case, all of these drivers came together, and essentially by the grouping of their personalities together, that has helped kickstart GRC into what it was. And then over the past few years, it's been our responsibility to develop a product that lives up to some of those personalities and makes those fan bases happy, and converts them from just being a Tanner Faust fan or a Ken Block fan or a Travis Pastrana fan into also being a GRC fan.
Yeah.
And we're always at work on trying to make that show better, to get those fans to watch every single race.
Yeah, for sure. So, we're going to talk a little bit of GRC later on, but right now we're gonna have to cut over. And I know, this weekend, obviously you get to do all the fun stuff. Being you're with Red Bull GRC, you get to go up to Red Bull Frozen Rush over the weekend up there in Maine. And I know, just thinking out of the box a little bit, you got some guys in that series that have some ties to GRC. I mean, Bryce Menzies, Ricky Johnson, Brian Deegan, all of them, have driven races within the series. I mean, talk us through Frozen Rush, because you've been up there a couple years now, and you've seen the evolution of it. Talk about this year comparison to last year. I know, everybody went head to head this year. Last year it wasn't that way. I mean, talk a little bit about the track and the racing.
Yeah, and that really was the biggest difference for this year. It was an interesting decision that they made to make sure that head-to-head was going to happen, because I talked to Ricky Johnson way back at X Games, and he said we absolutely, positively are going to make it happen with head-to-head, in 2015. I really liked the time attack format, because you were guaranteed that 25 seconds of intensity at the end of every race, because you knew that second driver, he only had 25 seconds from wherever he was on the track to cross the finish line. And if he did it in time, he moved on. And if he didn't, the other guy did. But, putting those two trucks next to each other in every single you had some amazing action there. You had some incredible head-to-head battles. They kicked it off right in the LCQ with Todd LeDuc and Carl Rennezetter facing off. Those guys were neck and neck for a good part of that race, and that was amazing. The track had some changes from last year. The drivers were saying it was a little bit slower, I think, but there were some adjustments to the trucks too. You had a large mud flap type device on the back of the truck. I guess you could call it a snow flap, because one of the biggest issues last year, and one of the reasons why they changed the event format, was without windshields, the amount of roost that was getting sprayed up into the cockpits, well, you just couldn't see anything. And so they did a couple of things, including that snow flap, to try and mitigate that, and eventually that worked out, so they were able to make it happen. The other interesting thing that happened was splitting up the drivers into a blue lane and a red lane. So you would drive the blue lane your first lap and the red lane your second lap, or vice versa if you were the other driver. And you had to alternate every single lap. They were very clear in the drivers' meeting, as a matter of fact, that if you made a mistake, if you accidentally did the same lane 2 laps in a row, and I don't think we had that issue because they made it super clear, then the race was over and you were done. There's a lot that goes into an event like that. I can't say enough about USAC in particular trying to sanction a race like that because of how different it is from pretty much anything else they do. Obviously, the way that Red Bull has promoted this event over the past few years has been absolutely amazing. Can't really say enough about that. And then these drivers, they're just so happy to get out there. It's funny because most of them were either from California or living in California now, and they're going up to Maine, and it was -20 on qualifying day. Everybody was freezing their appendages off, let's say that much. And then on Friday, it ended up, it was 40 degrees hotter than it was. It was still 20 degrees, but it was 40 degrees hotter than it was on qualifying day. And I got to be honest, I was running outside without a jacket. That's a heat wave to me.
Oh, too funny. So, I mean, you know, how did it shape up racing wise? I mean, I watched the online stream. Obviously, nothing replicates being there, but I know, you know, there was that last corner. I think, you know, that big sweeper. You know, everybody comes back together, and you know, there's that big sweeper, and I mean, there was literally some nail biters at the finish line. I mean, it definitely made for some good racing. I mean, in you know, some of the guys you thought were going to win got passed in the last corner. I mean, drag race to the finish. It was pretty exciting, at least watching the online stream.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, that last corner has always been one of the most amazing facets of that track up at Sunday River, because you've just got a big wall of white. You know, you don't have different colored barriers the way that you will at a lot of other races. I mean, it kind of, looking down on it, it kind of just looked like a big snowboarding half pipe in some ways. And that, for a driver, you got to find the line there. You got to figure out where you got to brake, where you got to punch it. You know, that corner takes guts to get through. One of the interesting things about the track is, once racing started on Friday, the deal was, unless somebody deemed there to be a safety issue with a part of the track, there was no track maintenance budgeted. That's not how they run that event. You get the track that you get, and your job as the professional race car driver with multiple championships, as every single driver who was competing in that event had at least one championship somewhere under their belt. You're a championship race car driver. It is your job to go out there and be able to adapt to a track surface that changed every single lap. And it did. You know, the way that track started out in the LCQ and the way that track drove in the final all the way at the end, they weren't alike at all. And that was kind of the point, to see which of these drivers could adapt to this almost completely unfamiliar surface the best. And in this case, on this day, it turned out to be Bryce Menzies. You know, he took down his teammate Ricky Johnson in what was really an incredible race. The fact that they extended it to 6 laps and just all the excitement that came from Ricky trying to chase Bryce down, that was fantastic. You know, you couldn't ask for a better finish to that show.
Yeah, you know, and I know, talking with Bryce, he made it a mission this year. You know, he's like, I am taking down Ricky, and obviously Ricky, you know, he's got, you know, last year, you know, he had a little leg up on the competition because, you know, he was the only driver to do Frozen Rush the year before in basically exhibition type of thing. You know, so I think, you know, last year he had a leg up. This year everybody was equal, and I got to tell you, you know, it was exciting, and I've always tipped my cap to Red Bull on this event. You know, they've opened the doors to all athletes. It didn't matter if it was, you know, if they were with Rockstar, with Monster, you know, whoever. They just said, you know, for this one event, we want the best of the best. We don't care if you're a Red Bull athlete or not. We are going to make this, you know, one of the, you know, an all-star race. And I've always admired Red Bull for that, because they could have, you know, there's enough short course drivers out there. They could have opened, you know, they could have cherry picked who they wanted. And they just said, no, the heck with that. You know, we're bringing the best of the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how you get to see guys like Johnny Greaves, who finished second last year. You know, Rob Mack, who really, really wanted a trophy from this event last year, and he made up for it by grabbing third place this time around. Brian Deegan, you know, it was really cool to see Brian come out, especially because, you know, as you know, he's been more of a Pro 2 and a Pro Light driver over his off-road career. He's only got a little bit of experience in a Pro 4 comparatively. And so to see him come out and not only readjust himself to the Pro 4, but have to do it on snow for the first time was really fun to watch. He was driving the he was driving a Douglas Motorsports rented truck himself, which meant he had the same equipment essentially as Scott Douglas and as Ricky Johnson, because Ricky was running a Douglas Motorsports truck as well. He essentially swapped trucks with Bryce from what they were running last year. So to see a guy like Brian come in, and Brian can drive the wheels off of anything, to see him go in, give it everything he had, try to take down Bryce in that first round, that was really cool to see too. It's always nice when you're able to bring new drivers into events like that, and, especially see them just drive their tails off trying to adapt to this thing. Next year you got to expect that Brian can come out and really challenge for the podium if he comes back to this thing next year.
Yeah, and I think, rumor is Brian Deegan's going Pro 4 racing this year, and obviously his, his GRC racing, he's got four-wheel drive figured out. I think a little more seat time in a Pro 4, and he's going to be a force next year in Frozen Rush. But talking about GRC, let's kind of skip over and talk about that a little bit. I know, obviously Frozen Rush, you've had a lot of people, say, hey, when are we going to see GRC in Winter X Games? We want to see, rallycross cars race on the snow. Obviously we know in Europe, they do race rally cars in the snow quite a bit. I think maybe even some rallycross cars. You got to think now with Red Bull, obviously with Frozen Rush, the logical next step would be, Red Bull GRC, Red Bull Frozen Rush to have an exhibition with some rallycross cars up there in Maine, at one of these Frozen Rush events.
I'd love it, but after the past couple of days, I don't want to think about doing media in the snow again for kind of a while. It's a little bit cold out there. But no, it'd be, and like you've said, fans have been clamoring for it for years. There are a lot of our drivers who I'm sure would love to do it. It would be a lot of logistical challenges to making a race like that happen. But, if the concept really ever got on the table and they wanted to do it, our folks are some of the best in the business. The events that we were able to put on in the past year, the amount of temporary circuits that we were able to construct and maintain and put on a great show at, there's no reason to not have faith that our folks could do it. If we ever wanted to, I'm sure we could. Right now, it's not something that's on the table, but it's the kind of thing where, like I said, we could absolutely pull it off and make it a success if it became the priority,
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, it's off season right now for Red Bull GRC. I know that a lot of teams are sitting on some news, a lot of drivers sitting on some news. I know the series is sitting on some news. I mean, any idea, when we're some of this news is going to start breaking, and we're going to kind of hear some of, there's rumors all over the internet by now. People, some are reputable sources, others not so much. But there's some crazy rumors floating around. When do you think we're going to start seeing some of the truths come to reality?
This week.
This week?
This week.
Awesome. Well, I guess
absolutely.
I guess we've heard it from the source. So this week we're going to have some of these rumors are going to be either squashed or confirmed. So I guess you're as reputable a source as anybody. So you say this week, we're definitely going to be prepared for it.
Absolutely. As soon as I get off the phone with you, I'm going to be firing out emails all over the place. I already have them this morning. So it's going to be, we're sitting on some very big things that we're really looking forward to getting out there, but it's just, I can't really shed any light on what they're going to be, but I know that our fans can probably put two and two together on some things. I'll just put it this way. It may not be Christmas Eve today, but it may be close.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I think that's about as close to revealing the info as we can get. So this week we're definitely going to be watching GRC's website and social media feeds. You want to give a quick shout out to those where people can kind of keep track this week and wait for those announcements to drop?
Yeah, absolutely. RedBullGlobalRallycross.com is our website. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are at Red Bull GRC on all of those. We've got a Tumblr page that we started a couple of months ago with some full res photos. If you ever need wallpapers or anything like that, at redbullgrc.tumblr.com. We'll be, once our news comes out, we will be blanketing the web with it, I promise. So, there's not too much longer to wait. I know that the off season is kind of a dark and boring time for everybody, but we're really excited to get the ball rolling here, and we know our fans are going to be excited once we reveal some of the things that we have to reveal very, very soon.
Awesome. Well, I am definitely looking forward to that news. And as always, I appreciate you taking the time to call in. I know, obviously, with some news dropping this week, you are going to be, very busy, but recovering from Frozen Rush. And as always, I guess we'll have to get you back on air after this week once this news drops, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In the meantime, I'm just going to be firing out emails in front of a space heater and thawing my fingers out.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, my friend, and we'll definitely talk soon. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Jim. And congrats again on that Snocross ride, by the way. That's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and I know that, there's, I've heard rumors that, I know, obviously, Joe Duncan, the founder of Snocross, he travels with GRC to a lot of events and does things in various capacities. But I've heard rumors of, I know Steve Arpin showed interest in running some one-offs. I know Patrick Sandell has showed some interest in some one-offs. So, we may have some GRC drivers maybe trying their hand at Snocross, especially the Charlotte round, because it's so close to a lot of these guys' home base. So, it would be cool if we can get some crossover there. And if we do, maybe we'll have to get you out to one of the races.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the cool thing about our drivers. They'll drive anything. So, yeah, you could be facing off with some of those guys.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. And thanks again for everything you do for the show, and obviously all the great reporting you do for Red Bull GRC.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jim. Always look forward to coming on the show. Always enjoy doing it, and can't wait to get some of this news out there, like I said.
All right. Thanks, Chris. We'll be looking forward to it.
Yep. Thanks, Jim. Bye.
All right, bye. All right. That was Chris Leone with Red Bull Global Rallycross. Sounds like some big news is dropping this week for you GRC fans. So definitely want to be looking forward to that. Giving you a full rundown of results from Red Bull Frozen Rush. It was Bryce Menzies, like we said, taking the win. He was second place last year. He made it stick this year, first place. Ricky Johnson, him and Bryce flip-flopping positions from last year to this year. Ricky Johnson taking home second. Rob Mack on the podium in third. Scott Douglas, solid showing there in fourth place. Chad Horde in fifth. R.J. Anderson sixth. Then we had Brian Deegan, Carl Renezetter, and Todd LeDuc rounding out your 9 official finishers. Johnny Greaves making the announcement he's building a new Pro 2 for CJ, and they were just too busy in the shop to make the trip back there. Says he's looking forward to doing it again in 2016. But he said our Pro 2 Pro 4 program takes precedence with the Torque Series, and he said we just couldn't fit it in this year. So Johnny Greaves looking forward to seeing him back in 2016 at Red Bull Frozen Rush. But that's your results for this week, and we'll well, not your results for this week, but those are your Red Bull Frozen Rush results for this year, and we'll definitely have full coverage of Red Bull Frozen Rush again in 2016. And once again, congrats goes out to Bryce Menzies. Maybe we'll have to catch up with Bryce sometime soon. But right now, we're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, it's going to be Dani Medin. She's going to be talking some Snocross, and who knows, maybe she's got a little torque news to share with us as well. But it's definitely going to be an exciting show. Second half of the show coming up. We've got Dani Medin. We've got Ami Houde calling in to talk some Supercross. We've also got some Dakar coverage in that Dirtfish Rally report. And we're talking about some of that big news that Ford dropped this morning. So stay tuned to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor, lit up by Rigid Industries, schooled by Dirtfish Rally School, and anywhere is possible with General Tire.
Come to the island and rip it up this summer. Wakeboard Island. It's a skate park on water at Blue Water Resort and Casino. Check out the 2-tower cable system that pulls you and your board over the water. No boats to watch out for, no fumes. Wakeboard Island is open to all skill levels with an open center section for beginners. And for trick riders, a double side kicker in a 60-foot flat box. Wakeboard Island, the best ride this side of the Rockies. Adjacent to the River's Edge Cantina at Blue Water Resort and Casino on the Colorado River in Parker, Arizona.
I'm Polaris driver Jim Beaver. I host the Down and Dirty radio show, travel the country announcing motorsports events, and I compete against some of the toughest drivers in the world in my number 15 trick truck in the Best in the Desert Championship. I know what it takes to survive Baja and races like the Mint 400 or Vegas to Reno, and that is reliability. When I choose to train, pre-run, or just take my family out to the desert or dunes on the weekend, I trust Polaris RZR products exclusively. I need the absolute best performing vehicles that I know will get me back safe, fast, and without any problems. The only vehicle on the market that I know will do this is the Polaris RZR. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world driving a Polaris RZR. Check out the full lineup of Polaris RZR vehicles at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR.
Rigid Industries is the original and #1 LED light bar manufacturer in the world. Torture tested by some of the best drivers in motorsports. Rigid LED lighting products use cutting-edge technology and can stand up to the harshest conditions Mother Nature can dish out. Designed, engineered, and assembled in the United States, Rigid LED lighting is the only choice for your off-road vehicle or boat. Find out more information on the entire line of Rigid Industries LED lighting products at www.rigidindustries.com. Dirtfish Rally School is the premier rally driving school on the West Coast, located in Snoqualmie, Washington. If you're looking for a ton of fun with world-class driving instructors honing your skills, Dirtfish is the place for you. Dirtfish has 315 acres of playground with mixed surfaces for your driving experience. You can spend anywhere from 2 hours to 3 intense days of instruction refining your driving and racing skills. Whether you are looking for credits towards your Rally America license, honing your racing skills, or just having a fun time, Dirtfish is your school. Your classroom is behind wheel of a 300 horsepower rally-prepped Subaru STI. These cars have protective cages, suspension modifications, and are built for one purpose: to push you to your limit. By the end of your time at Dirtfish, you will have the confidence to rally with the best. Whether you're looking for a thrilling first-time rally experience or to increase your knowledge and time in the driver's seat, Dirtfish has a driving experience to suit your needs. For any information on their classes, corporate events, or their facility, check them out on the web at www.dirtfish.com or on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dirtfish Rally.
Okay, when you're on the job, you're making tough decisions around the clock. Well, here's an easy one. Ford F-Series. Under the hood, F-Series trucks have the power and fuel efficiency you need. Translation? You can always tackle the toughest jobs without losing a fortune at the pumps. But it's not just all brawn and no brains. F-Series trucks also have a cutting-edge selection of smart technology that keeps you connected, focused, and informed, all while behind the wheel. That's why, on average, every 42 seconds, someone forks over their hard-earned cash to get a new F-150 or Super Duty. No wonder they're the best-selling brand of trucks in America for 37 years in a row. The competition never stood a chance. Ford F-150, Ford Super Duty. #1 for 37 years straight. Not convinced? Get behind the wheel of an F-150 or Super Duty and decide for yourself. Go online to your local FordDealers.com, then visit your Arizona Ford dealer for a test drive today. Based on U.S. sales from October 2012 through October 2013.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor, lit up by Rigid Industries, schooled by Dirtfish Rally School, and anywhere is possible with General Tire. I'm your host, Jim Beaver. Just got done with Chris Leone from Red Bull GRC talking some Frozen Rush. Also made mention that, hey, Red Bull GRC has some big news dropping this week. So, it wouldn't tell us what the news is, but, if you are like me, you got to think it possibly could be maybe that schedule we've been all waiting on. But, we'll see what happens. But Red Bull GRC, you definitely want to tune in to their social media channels, their website this week, because they are going to be dropping some bombs, some epic news. So definitely looking forward to that. Right now, up next, we got Dani Medin. She's going to be calling in. We're going to be talking a little Snocross from up there in Minnesota, the big national event up there in Shakopee. It's kind of the biggest snowcross race of the year outside of X Games, but this is a big one there at Canterbury. It's the one you want to win, and I got to tell you, for the first time in recent memory, Tucker Hibbert was shut out. That's right. Tucker Hibbert shut out off of the top of the podium. So, anytime Tucker Hibbert is shut out, it's a crazy weekend. But right now we got Dani Medin calling in, and she's going to break it all down for us. How's everything going, Dani?
Things are going great. I actually just got out of bed.
Just got out of bed.
Long weekend. Long weekend.
I was going to say, was it a long weekend or was it too much wine? What's the true story here?
I actually had 2 glasses of wine in the past 4 days, so I'm doing okay on that end. Just being back in Minnesota and the time change, temperature change, I'm all over the place. But trying to remember what all happened this weekend because a lot went down. Yeah,
I got to tell you, as we said, kind of the lead in to you, but this is the first time in that I can remember that Tucker Hibbert was, I don't want to say shut out, but he was shut out over the weekend from the top of the podium. I mean, for Tucker not to take a win in a weekend, I mean, that's big news. I mean, because we've come to expect him to pretty much win every round.
Everyone thought he was going to win every round, and he looked awesome in qualifying, basically swept qualifying like usual. The track changed from Friday to Saturday. There were mainly doubles on Friday. The track became triples on Saturday, which changed things up for everybody. I don't think it was his weekend. It wasn't his weekend. There were some other people that deserved it by the way they rode. I think Tucker kind of, I think it was on Friday when he crashed. I think he was kind of going all up for that, quote, 100, and he came up short.
Yeah, it was, it's just shocking to me, but some young guns taking some wins there, and you gotta love that. Obviously Kyle Pauline, taking round 6, it looked like, he definitely a long time coming for him. Ross Martin taking a win. I know your boys from Henchies, they found the podium. So, obviously a good weekend for a lot of teams.
It was a good weekend for Polaris.
Yeah.
Shout out to Polaris. My dad made a joke because my family came out to watch the races this weekend, and he's like, I don't think Polaris has changed their sled in 10 years, So it's everyone's game, and there was actually a new crew chief in the Warner trailer, Casey, who was Steve Martin's mechanic when he took, I want to say bronze at X years ago, amongst many other top names, but Casey's back in the Warner trailer, so he put several sleds on the podium in Fargo, and he was back this weekend, so I got a chance to talk to him. So I think, the Warner team and the Skidoo sleds are going to start to make a better appearance at Snocross coming soon.
Yeah,
and it might start with X Games. It might start at X Games. I don't know.
Yeah, X Games the next big one. It's funny going back to what you said about Polaris. I had the opportunity when I was in Minnesota for a couple of weeks over the holidays. Levi invited me out to his compound, so I went over there and they were actually blowing snow because there was no snow on the ground at the time. But I talked with him for quite a few hours, and we were looking at all his sleds, and he had a bunch of them lined up there. Sleds he's had over the years, and the same thing came up though. He's like, we've been with Polaris forever, and he's like, it's so easy for us to put together a new sled because he's like, the platform hasn't changed in like 10 years. He's like, we have these things dialed. We have so many spare parts. He's like, we're almost scared when Polaris goes to change the platform because we're going to have to start all over from scratch. And he's like, my life's been easy the past 10 years. So it's funny that you mentioned that because Levi was saying the same thing.
The sleds haven't changed. So it's time they keep winning. I know, there's a couple of Skidoo people that have said, a couple of things about them wanting to change the chassis that's out right now, and that might be coming too. I shouldn't say this. I started on an Arctic Cat in 2001. That was my first ever race sled. But besides that 1 year on that 99 Snow Pro, I have not rode or raced an Arctic Cat. So I honestly cannot tell you really the difference in it. I've been on a couple of Polarises when I was shooting for Sledhead 24/7 years ago. We did a snow shoot in Michigan where I got to ride my first ever Polaris trail sled, and I was pretty impressed. So I'm not just a Skidoo girl. I'll ride anything, but I think there's got to be some changes coming for Polaris. Amongst other brands.
Yeah, and I just look at what they've done on the UTV side, and they're completely every year, innovating the chassis and the platform and up and things. And I think, I think honestly, I'm with you. I think, in the next year or two, I definitely think you're going to see, them release some new sleds. And when they do, watch out because Polaris is one. When they jump in, it's with both feet. So I'm kind of excited, to see what the future of their snow program looks like.
Well, we have to talk about Pro Light. It is close in points on every end, especially in the top 5 from what I've been looking at. There was Tyler Adams taking his first ever Pro Light podium win. So cool. We got a chance to talk to him with Race 1 online, so there will be a cool video coming out for Tyler. So pumped for him. Friday in Pro Light, Corey Watkinson finally took a win. Bruce from Beeline is his suspension guy, and when I was home, I was picking up some shocks for a friend, and I happened to stop over with Bruce, and then I saw him again at the podium, and I said, I think I'm your lucky charm, because, Corey's son was in the shop, and, that's been a long time coming. The Pro Light field is stacked, especially with the Norwegian kid that Elias Isho, if I'm saying it correctly. I see a lot of Tucker Hibbert characteristics in him. He will come from behind and be up in front in a matter of a couple laps. I think if he can stay with, the ISOC AMSO Championship Snocross Series, I think he's going to be bumping up to the Pro Open class, I think, very shortly by his riding skills. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's one that's kind of come out of nowhere. I mean, and he's been very fast this year, and that was one of those, everybody's kind of, I think, going, whoa, where'd this kid come from?
Exactly, and Warner's infamous for going overseas and finding these phenomenal young drivers. And I've been trying to learn Swedish because I want to go to Sweden. It's like my dream to go over to Sweden and Norway and ride snowmobiles. And I was like, what do you mean you can't ride snowmobiles in Norway? And I was watching some of his videos, and he's got to go ride in Sweden, and I'm like, that is so crazy. But even his hometown country, he cannot even ride a snowmobile in. And maybe it's just his, I don't know if it's a Providence thing or I'm not too geographically educated on that. But I thought that was an interesting note that he can't even ride in his hometown, so to speak. And then look at where he is today.
Yeah, they only allow rally cars in Sweden, I guess.
No, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I got to get into that when I go over there.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, if you do go over there, I know a lot of teams out of Sweden. We'll definitely get you in a rally car or something. At least a ride along in a rally car over there. I think it'd be fun.
I would jump right in, and I know when I was back racing and I had my sponsor DuTalk. They used to sponsor some of the big pro teams, and they started sponsoring privateers like myself. There was a ton of Swedish and Norwegian fans of mine that I would send posters over to all the time. So I still get messages from these people. When do you come in? We'll take you wherever you want to go. If you want to go snowmobiling, you got to come. So hopefully I'll make that happen someday.
Yeah, well, and I noticed, it looked like you had quite a lineup there. You were signing posters there at the Snocross races. Looked like you had quite the lineup, huh?
Oh my gosh! So Never Lift Apparel is a brand new clothing company that has come out, and it's very, very high quality shirts, sweatshirts, and hats. They're kind of like almost like a Hurley type, shirt and brand. We're trying to just become a really professional racing brand for motorsports and power sports enthusiasts, and maybe, that never lift will even somehow translate over to action sports. But I was able to meet a lot of new people and people that have been following me in my career for years, and it was so cool to be like 14 years later, 14 years after I started racing, I still have people that want to see me and say hi and, when are you going to snowmobile again? I'm like, come on, you still have it. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. But, yeah, that gave me a little confidence booster. So it was nice to see everybody. And the Never Lift thing went over really well for kind of our first Snocross show, because we've only done a couple torque things. And then with Race One Online, obviously, as kind of a partner in this, that hopefully will help us grow and shoot more videos and go to more events. So, we just hit 18,000 fans on Race One, and so that makes us pretty happy because we don't pay for advertising. So it's coming, so you guys all have to tune in and keep supporting us so we can keep doing what we're doing.
Nice. Yeah, you guys, you and Chris, together, you put together some solid videos for both Torque and Snocross, and, and I know there's some various other things, he's involved in as well, but always looking forward to those videos dropping. Talking about, the next biggest, I'm getting all tongue-tied here, the next big, Snocross race is X Games. Obviously, non-points for ISOC, but, take us through X Games. I mean, what do we expect? Obviously, Tucker dominating. I know Levi is back on a sled, for all the events. Hillcross is back. We've got some long jump. I mean, what are you expecting, especially with Hillcross? I mean, because a lot of people, they watch the series, but Hillcross, I mean, you don't get to see it very often. Who are some favorites?
Yeah, there's a lot of changes from what I've heard from people. And once again, I don't want to say a lot because I haven't done my research too much in this yet. But from what I've heard, from the Hillcross standpoint, it's actually going to be geared more towards hill climb racers. I talked to the Bowerly Racing crew and all these people that I've been racing Hillcross with for years, and everybody held on to their 800 mods and everything because they knew someday Hillcross would come back. And look, it's back at X Games of all things, and we don't even have a series running, So that makes it tough for people. And I know people like the Bowerlys and Ben Deaton and all these Matt Tickner, all these top names that used to race Hillcross, they are not going to be at X Games or even trying to qualify because of these sled changes. They don't have the right setups anymore. They want turbos on the sled, so it's not geared towards Hillcross people. And maybe people will disagree or agree. That's fine, but in my opinion, there'd be no way that I could just come out there and start racing that. I have been on a turbo one time. It was that Arctic Cat trail sled turbo sled under Bikeman Performance, and I think it's going to be a totally different ball game. And I don't know many hill climb racers, but I do have a friend, Colton Sturm, that was trying to qualify. And I think it was Crested Butte, if I'm saying that correctly. And it didn't sound like his weekend went over too well. So he's going to be the only person really from Hillcross, this recent past years of Hillcross that has been trying to qualify for X Games. But, those big names will be back from the previous years, but I'm really not sure what to expect.
Well, and I know talking with Levi when I was up there at his place, and even he said, he's like, I don't know how to train for this. I don't know what to expect because I think it's this big gray area, even with the guys that are entered a race. He's like, I don't know how to train for it. I don't know what to expect, what they're going to throw at us. I think it's literally they're going to show up and go, here's the course,
Yeah, well, the Bowerlys were saying there's a corner in it, and they were kind of making jokes because it's like, okay, here we go. Like, this is a Hillcross. There's a reason why I kind of quit racing Snowcross because I couldn't stay on my snowmobile because I couldn't corner. So it's going to be a mix of everything. It's going to be a little Snowcross. It's going to be hill climb. It's going to be Hillcross. So your best athlete's going to shine if they can handle every part of that. So it's going to be interesting who takes that. I'm super pumped to watch. I wish I was there because I will not be going. I will be at a Supercross race. So bummer. But otherwise, I talked to Hedges. The boys are Justin Broberg, Cody Cam. They are so ready to do some reclaiming of medals. The boys took home 2 medals last year, silver and bronze. I think that they're going to have a good shot, knowing I doubt they're going to change much for setups if they had so much success this past year. They're both healthy and they're both ready for X Games. So I'm really hoping that I'm going to see those two on the podium again. It makes it for an easier press release to write.
Yeah,
We're winning and taking home medals. So
Yeah.
Otherwise, Tucker Hibbert is going to be shining out there too. So I'm hoping he takes home another one. I mean, it's great for the sport of snowcross, great for motorsports, and to see his face amongst, Shaun White and all the other people, I think that's just such an achievement. And our sport needs it so bad.
Yeah, and with X Games, I love it because it is a non-points race, so it's not like guys are saving anything. I got to think about long-term points. I mean, X Games is a one-off. And you can leave it all out there. You know what I mean? It's it's one of those winner wad type of scenarios. And so I really think you see some of the best racing of the year at X Games. One, because medals are on the line, but two, you've got nothing to lose.
Exactly, and with the points looking how they are in Pro Open with Tucker having such a lead, it's a 40-point gap right now between him and Kyle Pauline, and with Cody Cam getting disqualified from Duluth and all that, I mean that really shook up the points. So, from Cody's standpoint, what does he have to lose? Yeah. He needs this X Games gold, because he can't win a championship right now unless everybody gets hurt in front of him. You know what I mean? And obviously that's not going to happen. So, and Logan Christian, he looked phenomenal in qualifying once again this weekend. And I'm pretty sure at X Games he's looked pretty good in the past. So I think I kind of want to see someone new up there. But you never know. I mean, there's Tucker Hibbert, obviously, is going for his 100th career win. He needs another X Games gold. And there's a couple other guys that are pretty hungry. So we will have to see.
Yeah, definitely a lot of storylines heading into X Games and the second half of Snowcross. Speaking about later on, I mean, what's on tap for Dani Medin? Obviously, I know you said Supercross. We're going to see any more Snowcross rounds. I mean, what's on tap for Torque? You work with so many different series and so many things. I mean, what do we expect out of you coming up?
I know. I need to get a paper calendar out and start recording this.
Yeah. You need a personal assistant, right?
So I'm going to be touring with Amsoil for the Amsoil girls for the rest of Supercross. So you guys on Instagram, please add Amsoil girls. We go to so many events, and I'm just really trying to grow our whole program, and kind of get on that monster girl rock star level. Obviously, we're a little more conservative, but all of us girls, we ride, we race. We're really, really credible. So give us a shout out and follow us and come see us at the races. Torque will be starting. I will be going to all of that. There is one more thing I cannot say because it hasn't been 100% approved yet, but my summer might be looking a little differently, and I'm kind of crossing my fingers. If it all goes as planned, you might see me in a new motorsport discipline reporting. So I'm really excited. I'm kind of hoping I'm going to become a new face in something, but that will have to wait, and if I don't get it, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Snowcross, I might be going to the Joliet race, the Route 66 in Chicago.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to do that. But that overlaps with Indy Supercross, so everything just overlaps. I'll have to kind of see what happens when I get to that point of where I'm going to go. So
nice.
Busy.
Yeah, you'll definitely
follow me.
Yeah, you definitely have to keep me in the loop on what's going on, and and definitely love to have you on air anytime you can fit it in.
Awesome, and we love all the support, you guys, so please get on and support us at Race One Online. That's pretty much the name for every one of our social media accounts. Never Lift Apparel, same deal. The clothing's really affordable, so that also helps get me to my job. So any support, we love you guys, and thank you.
All right, well, thanks, Dani, and definitely keep me in the loop on anything you got going on, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome, thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, Dani. All right, that was Dani Medin. I guess, she covers Torque, covers Snowcross. She's an Amsoil girl, involved with that program, former Snowcross racer herself, and always look forward to getting her on air and, and being able to talk motorsports and events and, talking about that. She's I guess she's a lot similar to Ami Houde, who is our next guest. I guess a nice little segue there. But in that she's raced snowmobiles. She's actually an athlete. She does. She's involved on the media side. Involved in so many different things. So very cool having Dani call in and having her part of the Down and Dirty Radio Show family. And definitely Race One online. Never Lift Apparel. Support them. They're out at a lot of events. And help, they support, the amazing videos that Dani's able to put together, in interviews and recaps. So definitely give them a follow on social media and, and check out that line of clothing with Never Lift. But, man, it's, it was a wild weekend of snowcross racing there. Quick giving you the rundown. Pro Open, it was obviously, we said before, the guy that everybody expects to be on top of the podium, Tucker Hibbert, he was winless this weekend, but Ross Martin taking the win, Tim Tremblay in second, Cody Cam third, Tucker Hibbert, Logan Christian, Kyle Pauline, Jake Scott, David Jonas, Corin Todd, and Cody Thompson. That was your top 10 on Friday. Moving over to round 6. It was Kyle Pauline taking home the win, his very first win in Pro Open on the LaValle sled. Tucker Hibbert in second, finding that podium. Ross Martin, Tim Tremblay, Cody Cam, Adam Reinheim, Corin Todd, Justin Broberg, John Stenberg, and Logan Christian. That was your top 10 in Pro Open. But Pro Lights, completely different story. Some wild racing. Corey Watkinson with the win. Ryan Springer, James Johnstead, Travis Mueller, and Andrew Carlson in your round 5. And then on Saturday, it was Tyler Adams with a win, Trevor Layton, Maxim Tellifer, Andrew Carlson, and Elias Ishwell rounding out your top 5. So looking at the current point standings for the Snowcross Championship right now in Pro Open, it's all Tucker Hibbert out front, Kyle Pauline in second, about 40 points back. We got Tim Tremblay, Cody Cam, and Logan Christian rounding out your top 5. And I got to tell you, Tremblay and Pauline, it's a nail biter there for that second spot. But we got about, how many rounds of racing left? Obviously, we're 6 races in, 3 rounds of racing. We've got 5 rounds, 10 races left in the series. So it's anybody's game. They may have a chance to run down Hibbert. Gonna have to see some more weekends of racing like we did this weekend, though. That's for sure. Moving over to the lights, it's Layton out front. Ishwell in second, only looks like 6-7 points back, and then we've got to Andrew Carlson about 9 points back at Ishwell. We've got James Johnstead, Ryan Springer, and Travis Mueller. It looks like we've got Springer and Mueller tied for 5th in points, and they're only 2 points back at Johnstead. So I got to tell you, the lights definitely a nail biter there. Everybody all clamped up, and as we hit the stretch here, it's it's going to be wild to see the way things shake out in the pro light standings. Right now, it's Tucker Hibbert in the driver's seat. In Pro Open, though. So we're going to take a short break here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. And when we come back, Ami Houde's going to be calling in, and we're going to be breaking down Supercross from Phoenix. So stay tuned to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor, lit up by Rigid Industries, schooled by Dirtfish Rally School, and anywhere as possible with General Tire.
The #1 off-road and action motorsports radio show on the planet now has its own app. The Down and Dirty Radio Show official app is now available in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and Amazon Kindle Store. Just search Down and Dirty Radio Show, and you'll have all the latest news, results, and blockbuster interviews from off-road, rally, drifting, supercross, and snowcross at your fingertips. Hours of interviews from the best drivers and athletes on Earth, such as Travis Pastrana, Ken Block, Tanner Faust, Brian Deegan, Robbie Gordon, and Jolene Van Vliet are yours at the touch of a button. Download today and never miss an interview again.
Come to the island and rip it up this summer. Wakeboard Island. It's a skate park on water at Blue Water Resort and Casino. Check out the two-tower cable system that pulls you and your board over the water. No boats to watch out for, no fumes. Wakeboard Island is open to all skill levels with an open center section for beginners. And for trick riders, a double side kicker in a 60-foot flat box. Wakeboard Island, the best ride this side of the Rockies. Adjacent to the River's Edge Cantina at Blue Water Resort and Casino on the Colorado River in Parker, Arizona.
Did you know that Parker Motor Company is one of the best places to shop for new tires for your car or truck? With a full tire shop and advanced equipment, we can outfit your vehicle with over 13 brands of tires, including Goodyear, BF Goodrich, Yokohama, Falcon, and General. We offer a low price guarantee that will meet or beat any competitor's price. We'll check your alignment for free, and we also offer tire care for any road hazards you may come across. If you need new tires, Parker Motor Company is your only choice. Parker Motor Company, your hometown Ford and Lincoln. Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm your host, Jim Beaver. Just got done with Dani Medin on air. We've had Chris Leone. We've had Fredric Aasbo. And, man, we still got a lot to cram in. And right now we've got Ami Houde calling in to talk a little Supercross here. How's everything going, Ami?
Hey, how's it going? It's good. Still cold.
Still cold, yeah. Well, last week it was like -40, you were saying. Did it warm up at all for you?
It's actually, no, it's exactly the same. It's -41 with the wind chill today. Woo!
Holy crap. I don't even know what to say there. I mean, I've been in -20, but -40, especially, I don't know, it's just nutty. I don't know. Props to you for grinding through it, I guess.
I know. Well, what else can you do other than go set up the tires and go ice riding? So we just make the best of what we got here in Canada, but that's why they say we're kind of some of the toughest people out there, because we got to deal with weather like this. So we're tough cookies.
Yeah, you struggle through the winters because you have beautiful summers, right?
Yep, exactly.
So let's talk a little Supercross. Obviously, I know you weren't on ground in Phoenix this weekend. You were tuning in from there in Canada. But let's break down some of these results here in the 250s and in the 450s.
Yeah, it was really, really good racing this weekend. This is the type of racing I like to see in Supercross. 1 million passes. It was an awesome weekend of racing. So I'm really glad I could at least watch the race, even though I couldn't be there. So
yeah, and I got to say, 250s. You called it last week. You said Cooper Webb is going to take the win, and I got to give you props. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Cooper Webb. It was all Cooper Webb.
Yeah, you could just really tell by his riding, whether it was in the heat races or practice. You know, he was just so consistent, so fast, so aggressive. And for those who don't know, he was battling the flu, and I just had the flu, and I was on my deathbed, never mind out there, winning 250 main event races. So honestly, my hat's off to Cooper. He won me $20, and, you know, I did pick him for my league, even though we're not doing 250s on my side. I'm still, you know, betting on the 250s, because it's really, it's kind of anybody's game, like we talked about earlier. There's so many guys, you know, who have potential to be on the box every weekend, but now it's clear that Cooper, coming from 7th and finishing with a 7-second lead over Malcolm Stewart, he's just the fastest guy out there right now, and I think we're going to see him become even more successful as the season goes on. So, good job, Cooper. I'm super pumped. Won me $20.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. I mean, you know, we talked about it, you know, how he struggled in Anaheim. Obviously, you know, comes back in Phoenix, takes it. I mean, it sounds like, you know, he's firing on all cylinders. Malcolm Stewart, you know, he comes back, takes a second. You know, I think everybody's expecting good things from Malcolm this year. You know, give us, you know, just looking down the top 10. I mean, you know, some of these young guys, it's just Bowers. I mean, he was solid. He's got another 4th, you know, another top 5. I mean, you know, 250s, we've got some great racing through 2 rounds so far.
Yeah, and it's really good to see Nelson also stick it with the 3rd, because usually you see some of these rookies come up and they have a good first couple round finishes, and then you see them drop off. Or usually A1, you get this lone guy out there in first place, and then you don't see them anywhere for the rest of the season. So, you know, just seeing Nelson finished third is kind of proof that he's going to be here all season competing for this number one plate. So I do think, Jesse's going to push Cooper and Stewart's going to push Cooper. They're good group of riding, but I have to really say, for 250s, it was that Bowers and Hill battle and the 250 first qualifying race. Holy smokes, that was racing. I think there was 10 passes made, really aggressive but clean. And I thought it was, I didn't really know what to think. I thought some of it might have been a little dirty, but then you see the guys, high five and shake each other's hands at the end of the moto, and that was awesome. It was just a really good race. So
yeah, and that's what you love to see, and I'm thinking back to motocross last year. I mean, you had two teammates in Dungey and Rocks, and last year in the motocross season, they had a couple of epic battles. It was back and forth, and that's what you love to see. And then at the end, they can high five, give each other a hug, and say, that's what's cool. That's what I love about motorsports.
Yeah. I didn't know what to expect when they came off there, and I wasn't really too sure if Hill was going to be a little bummed with Bowers kind of taking some of those aggressive passes, but man, they just came off high five right away. It looked like they had fun racing, and that's what everybody likes to see, and that's great for the sport, and fans love that, and good riding for those boys. Yeah,
for sure. So skipping up to 450s, and I got to say, you called this one again. Tomac taking the win. I know, you were on fire this past weekend.
I don't know how. I really did want Roxon to win, but it was almost like what we saw with Webb and Stewart. But, these guys have a bad first race, and then the fire is lit under their butt, and they have something to prove that, hey, I'm here to win. I'm top contender. I had a bad race, so I got to make up for this, and that's what we saw here this weekend is those guys who might have had a bad first race, how they can recover after that. And then you also seen those riders who had a bad race and, can't seem to figure it out yet. So Tomac just proved that he finished 7 seconds ahead of Roxon. He had some good racing, and he is by far one of the fastest guys out there now. And, if he can stay consistent, he's sitting right now actually in 7th in points. So he has a ways to go. So he has to be consistent for the rest of the season to be a number one plate contender. So I think he can hunker down and put his head down and do it because he's really, really fast, as we saw this weekend. And he gapped the pack. So.
Yeah. Well, and here I'll do a little rapid fire with you, but one of the guys that we didn't really hear much of last year comes in this year, and to me, I'm watching this guy going. He hasn't really got a lot of publicity yet, but he's had 2 solid showings, and that's Weston Peak. I mean, what do we think of him?
Weston Pike, yeah. He's riding for JGR with Barsha, and Barsha is kind of JGR's main rider, and there you have Weston come up and have a better finish this weekend. So, I hats off to Weston, and he was riding a couple outdoor rounds last year as a fill-in for the Hart & Huntington team, and then before he was a privateer. This guy's making big waves, so we should be able to expect a lot out of Weston. He held off Dungey to the last couple laps, so it's not like luck for him. He's a very experienced and skilled rider, so I hope a couple of people pick him. Now I actually might be looking to pick him for next weekend. So
yeah, for sure. And then obviously Anderson, another solid showing. I mean, a 6th place finish. Obviously not quite as good as he did last week, but I mean, here's a guy. This is stepping up from the 250s. I mean, he's had a couple solid races under his belt so far. He
actually started off 17th and finished 6th overall. That shows some sheer speed, and he's really able to get through the pack. If he has a better finish next weekend, I wouldn't doubt to see him on the box again. So sometimes you can't look at the finish for these riders who are finishing kind of, under the top 4, but where did they start off at the beginning of the race and where did they finish? That kind of shows their speed, and, it shows whether they had a bad start, maybe tipped over, but from 17th to 6th, that's 11 passes. That's huge in a short moto. So, Anderson is definitely one of the top guys out there too. Yeah. But, one bad race early on can really hinder your point for that chase for the red plate. So right now, Dungey finishing on the box, but not last weekend, but he's sitting in second. So like I said, he is racing for a championship. He's smooth and consistent, so you never know. Right now it's really early on, but we have Roczen, Dungey, and Anderson's still in third. So he's if he can stay consistent again, he'll do great.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and I think obviously, you always figure these guys are going to have at least one throwaway race a year. Obviously, Roczen hasn't had his yet. I mean, we know Tomac had his in the first one, and looking for him to rebound. I think there's a lot of guys, like you said, it's still early. We're 2 races in. I mean, we're starting to kind of get a feel for things, but I think, the years past when we had a guy like Villopoto, just dominate and, from round 1 through the finish, you just knew he was going to win the championship. I think we're going to see some bouncing around in the standings, and I think it's going to be a true battle this year.
I really do. Just with these guys so hungry and they're not all rookies, but these top guys, they don't have a lot of 450 Supercross experience. Some of them are fairly new, and the guys sitting in top 3, top 4 are young and hungry, and they're going to be riding super aggressive. So there, might be like Tomac with one bad race here or there, but that's also, that's racing, and that keeps things interesting. I love it when it's down to the wire. Last race is, the points determination for a championship. That's what I like to see. I hate really seeing someone walk away with it, because then, it's just not as exciting till the very end. So, yeah, it's anybody's game right now, that's for sure. You never know. Come mid-season, we might see someone really figure it all out and just ride away from everybody else, but I don't think that's how it's going to be right now. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. No, I think it's going to be wild. I mean, I'm super impressed with Anderson. I think everybody knew he was fast, but what he's been able to put together just in 2 rounds. I mean, to me, I'm looking at this guy going, obviously, Roczen, he's been, he's comfortable on the 450. So is Dungey. We all know what to expect out of, Dungey, especially, Roczen, I think people knew he was going to be fast, but Anderson, I'm thinking he's going to get better and better as the year goes on. I mean, he's only got 2 450 races, under his belt in Supercross. I think this is a guy, he's going to hit a stride mid-season. Better watch out.
I know. I love Jason Anderson's riding style. He's the kind of guy, unlike Dundee, who he doesn't play it safe. If he has to wing it out and air it out over the finish line to make that last lap pass, he's done that before more than once. So I really think we're going to see a lot of interesting racing from Jason. And if he needs to lock it in, he's going to. He's one of those riders that everyone should watch out for. And he's third right now, and this was maybe his throwaway race. So I think I would love to see Jason win the 450 championship. He's just the underdog. He's a great person, has a great personality, and just being on that Husqvarna team it's something new and different, and that's cool. So my vote is for Jason for the 450 championship, if we can make some bets.
Yeah, well, and talking about Husqvarna, I mean, they're a new manufacturer, and they've had a solid showing. Sometimes it takes a year or so for a manufacturer to get up and running, and be solid. But obviously they right out of the box are competitive, and that's always exciting to see.
Yeah, it's really good. Their whole team, like we talked about last weekend, is a really, really strong team. And Zach Osborne's still riding with a broken thumb, had a great finish overall. So it just shows a lot of these riders ride with heart. They have injuries, maybe having some challenges, but they're all coming back really strong every weekend. So it's really, really cool to see. But I have to, give it up for a couple underdogs here. Last weekend we were talking about it, but Jake Weimer. So he finished 10th overall in the 450s, and he was actually Cowie's top finishing rider over Reed and Millsaps and Grant, and he is actually a privateer, getting some backing from Babbitt. But, that's just awesome to see these guys who, are usually forking in their own money and, having to pay their own way, and he finished top 10 in 450. So I think we can see Jake Weimer just getting some better finishes every weekend because, again, he's riding with something to prove. He's probably really looking for support for next year, and he did have a factory ride last year, but now he's on his own, and it's really good that Babbitt stepped up and helped him. But 10th overall, hats off. That was awesome. Good for him.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at him right now, he's sitting in a 3-way tie for 9th in points with Tickle and Reed. So I mean, that's some big company there for him to be as a privateer. Yeah. After a couple races in, to be sitting in a top 10.
Yep, that's awesome. So hopefully teams see that and pick that up, and a lot of these guys, can have a shot next year to be underneath a factory rig. So. And actually, in San Diego, I will be highlighting the Ted Parks race team. They sponsor, they are the ones who show up with the big tent that any privateer, they're actually the privateer journey. But yeah, any privateer that wants to come and pit under their rig has the opportunity. But I'm going to be doing a video highlighting their team and what they're all about and what they're doing. So you got to stay tuned for that at San Diego. So
yeah, we definitely will. And talking about that, what races are we going to see at? What's the next one? I know obviously you're in Canada this go around. You're going to be at a lot of the races. Is San Diego the next one? For you, or are we going to see one of the Anaheims?
The next one's going to be San Diego. We're going to try to do a video once every month just to keep things, fresh and interesting. And it's going to be San Diego, Daytona, and of course Vegas. But I'd like to go to Houston, maybe just as a spectator, because I hear that's an awesome round. And I mean, it's Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. I'm sure the racing is bigger and better and more aggressive. So I'd like to try to go to that one just to watch. But we can expect a video from those rounds, and then outdoor as well. So we're going to split it up between Supercross and outdoor for the Motorcycle Superstore Moto Adventure videos.
Awesome. And, for some of our fantasy Supercross, players, I think we're up to 283 of them so far, which I think is
wow.
pretty darn impressive.
And do we have a weekly winner by chance? Because I do have a $25 Motorcycle Superstore gift card for our weekly winners of the Fantasy League.
Yes, we do have a weekly winner this week, and it is goes by the name of Orvis, Orvis. Don't have the full name, but I will definitely get
Is
to...
that Adam Orvis? I'm pretty sure he's from Winnipeg, Manitoba, and is actually a racer that I race with here.
Okay.
There's not too many Orvises out there, so if it is, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Adam,
we'll definitely have to reach out and find, but he was our high points getter this week. Our current leader in the overall is Grim 284, but Orvis actually in second place in the overall, but that was your high points getter for the week. So we'll definitely have to reach out. But small world if he's actually the winner of the gift card, right?
Yeah, well, find out who name, and if we can get an address, I'd like to mail you out a $25 Motorcycle Superstore gift card. And, that just goes to show you guys got to play smart every weekend because you guys can have the chance to win.
Yep, and we got 283 entries. Don't forget, fans that are tuning in, there are 6 throwaway races, so 17 rounds of racing. Mm-hmm. We're throwing away 6, so it's going to be your 11 best finishes throughout the year. So you've still got another 4 weeks before you really don't have a shot at it. So get in. You can throw the first 2 races away that you didn't compete in, so it's not going to hurt you at all in the final points. Get involved. Obviously a set of KMC wheels to the winner. MotorcycleSuperstore.com giving away some gift cards to the weekly winners. All good things.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I hope to talk to you guys next week where we're back at Anaheim, right?
Yep, absolutely. Anaheim 2 on tap this next weekend. And any quick picks for these fantasy Supercross players that may be looking for an edge this week? Who do you got in 450s and 250s?
Oh, my. Okay, so I'm going to go with Roxon.
Okay.
Anderson Tomac. And for 250s, I would say Cooper Webb. I'm going to shake it up and say Bowers is going to finish second. And I would like to say, I'm going to shake it up. I don't mind voting for the underdog, but Aaron Plessinger, first year racing full Supercross, has had 2 fifth-place finishes for the Star Yamaha race team. I'm going to say Plessinger will finish third. So those are my top 3 picks, and you guys should tweet at me at Ami Houde 71 and let me know who you're picking as well. I'd like to see and I'd like to play along with you guys. So
awesome.
Hit me up.
All right, we'll definitely do that, and we'll see you next week, and we'll recap some Anaheim 2 Supercross. But as always, good to hear from you, Amy, and looking forward to next week.
Pleasure talking to you too, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks a lot, Amy.
And if you guys haven't checked out my video from A1, be sure to do it. I know there's a link on my Instagram. You can check out my Motorcycle Superstore YouTube channel. They'll be there every time I'm at the event. So check it out. A1 Supercross selfie.
All right. Thanks a lot, Amy.
Take home. Have a great day.
All right. You too.
Bye.
Bye. All right, that was Ami Houde, professional motocross racer, female professional motocross racer. She's doing some Supercross coverage for us this year, and always good catching up with her. Giving you some of her quick picks for the wins. In Supercross. Get in on the Down and Dirty Radio Show Fantasy Supercross with Ami Houde. Also got KMC Wheels, MotorcycleSuperstore.com involved in that, and all good things. And we're giving away prizes each and every week. You still got at least a month to get involved before it's too late. So don't forget, we got 6 throwaway races this year. So definitely a big opportunity for you guys to take home some great prizes, and it's all free. FantasyActionSportsLeague.com is where you sign up. That's FantasyActionSportsLeague.com. I'll post up to my social media after we get off the air today. But thanks again to Ami Houde. We're going to take a short, about a 1-2 minute commercial break, and when we come back, we are going to talk Dakar. And we'll give you the full breakdown of the results from Supercross. But stay tuned to the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Powered by Polaris Razor.
Hey, I'm RJ Anderson, factory Polaris driver, and I drive Polaris because it's the most capable, race-ready off-road vehicle on the market.
When R.J. Anderson wanted to set a world record for the longest UTV jump in history, not once but twice, what company did he trust? Polaris and their championship-winning Razor XP1000. R.J. is a UTV champion behind the wheel of Polaris vehicles, and he exclusively trusts the Polaris Razors to bring him race wins and championships against some of the toughest off-road racers in the world. The same Polaris Razors RJ has won championships in, set world records in, and conquered the Wall of Death in XP1K2 are available to you at your local Polaris dealer. Take the advice of world record holder RJ Anderson and visit Polaris on the web at Polaris.com to see the full lineup of Polaris Razor vehicles, or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris Razor.
Okay, when you're on the job, you're making tough decisions around the clock. Well, here's an easy one. Ford F-Series. Under the hood, F-Series trucks have the power and fuel efficiency you need. Translation? You can always tackle the toughest jobs without losing a fortune at the pumps. But it's not just all brawn and no brains. F-Series trucks also have a cutting-edge selection of smart technology that keeps you connected, focused, and informed, all while behind the wheel. That's why, on average, every 42 seconds, someone forks over their hard-earned cash to get a new F-150 or Super Duty. No wonder they're the best-selling brand of trucks in America for 37 years in a row. The competition never stood a chance. Ford F-150, Ford Super Duty. #1 for 37 years straight. Not convinced? Get behind the wheel of an F-150 or Super Duty and decide for yourself. Go online to your local FordDealers.com, then visit your Arizona Ford dealer for a test drive today. Based on U.S. sales from October 2012 through October 2013.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm your host, Jim Beaver. Just got done with Ami Houde, resident Supercross expert here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, breaking down all the action from Phoenix. And up next, it's Supercross from Anaheim. But in Phoenix, giving you the quick rundown of all the results. We had Tomac taking the win, Roxon second, Dungey third, Weston Pike in fourth, Davey Millsaps, followed up by Anderson, Andrew Short, Trey Kennard, Weimer, and Chad Reed. So your point standings right now, it is Roxon out front, Dungey in second, Anderson third, Kennard and Peak in fifth. So moving down to your 250s, your winners were Cooper Webb, followed up by Malcolm Stewart in second, Jesse Nelson taking that last spot on the box. Then we had Tyler Bauer, Aaron Plessinger, Justin Hill, Zach Osborne, Shane McElrath, Zach Bell, and Tommy Hahn. Your 250 point standings, it is... Man, it's a shootout right now. We got Jesse Nelson with 45 points out front. Cooper Webb in second with 39. Bowers 1 point back of him with 38. Zach Osborne 2 points back with 36. And Justin Hill rounding out your top 5. So that is your Supercross results. Big thanks for Ami Houde calling in before the break to break all of the action down here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. But right now, we got to get into a quick Dirtfish Rally Report brought to you by our good friends at Dirtfish Rally School. Find out more information on the web, www.dirtfish.com, or follow them at Dirtfish Rally on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. But right now, the Dakar Rally, it's all Nasser Al-Attiyah out front. He's got about a nine-minute lead over De Villiers in second. Looks like we've got Al-Rahi in third. We got Hollowicks in fourth. Ten Brinky in fifth, and Van Loon sixth in the Mini, Lavielle in the Toyota in seventh, Petter Hansel in eighth, Sousa in ninth, and Shabat in 10th. And Robbie Gordon, he is down there looking down the list here at these updated standings. It looks like we got down there in 23rd position is Robbie Gordon and Johnny Campbell, tearing over right behind Robbie. So a couple of big names down there. And then in 50th spot, we've got Shakrit. A lot of you know him from the Mini that he jumped and had that crazy accident trying to set that distance record of set by Tanner Faust, trying to break that. So Robbie Gordon, the American Rebel, having some troubles. Obviously, he's had a couple of super solid rounds. But, he's found struggles lately, had some brake issues, it looks like, and some various other problems. Definitely still in, still in the running. He looks like he's going for some finishes right now. Doesn't really have a shot at the overall unless some craziness happened. But hearing what our friends at PlanetRobbie.com have said and Robbie's social media feeds, he's going for stage wins. Obviously, he's had some upfront finishes, some podiums so far this Dakar Rally since he had those troubles. So Robbie trying to rebound, take as many stage wins as possible, and further prove this platform for next year's Dakar Rally. So the Gordini, it's on rails, and Robbie going for some stage wins. Also, the other North American contingent that we've talked about, some of our friends at El Martillo Racing, bad accident in one of the stages yesterday, and they are now out of the rally. Absolutely probably a catastrophic crash. Everybody's okay. You can see that video. It's on Race Desert's social media feed. I believe our friends at Hoonigan picked it up as well, but I got to tell you, it was probably one of the worst race car crashes I have ever seen. Their vehicle completely destroyed. They are out of the rally. Everyone is okay. But, just a heart-wrenching crash. I mean, it literally, you're breathless watching it. But everybody's okay. That is the good news. But El Martillo Racing out of the Dakar Rally. So, we will, we'll continue to have full coverage of the Dakar Rally on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. And, one epic event. So that is your Dirtfish Rally Report for this week, brought to you by our good friends at Dirtfish Rally School. Find out more information on the web at www.dirtfish.com and get in on some of those classes they offer there at Dirtfish Rally School. Got all-wheel drive and two-wheel drive classes now. Got to tell you, I got to get up there before Terracross and get some more all-wheel drive training because I'll be driving a four-wheel drive Razor. So, definitely need to get up there and hone my skills before I jump into that Terracross Razor later on this year. But big news this morning, Ford dropping some bombs, announcing the 2016 Raptor, a new GT supercar, and a Mustang GTR. So 3 big dropping news from Ford Motor Company, and we'll have full details on each of these vehicles next week on air. But I got to tell you, man, this new GT supercar, the new Ford Raptor looks amazing, but this new GT supercar, holy crap. It's been about 10 years since Ford's had a supercar, and this thing is powered by a 600-plus horsepower 3.5-liter EcoBoost that is the same engine they have in the Daytona prototypes, bringing it to this new supercar. Sounds like they're actually going to do some road racing in it. This car meant to actually be a street-legal race car, not a traditional supercar. So looking forward to finding out more information on that, and we'll break down all of these models next week on air. Also, obviously, next week we're going to have more Ami Houde calling in, but looks like Sarah Price making a big announcement. She's going to be doing the Gazelles Rally. So we're going to have Sarah Price on air to talk about this big announcement. Obviously, Sarah Price, professional motocross racer, and also she races the Terracross series, and it looks like she's going to be doing the Gazelles Rally in a UTV. So looking forward to catching up with Sarah Price. Got to tell you, man, we've got a string of big names. Looks like we're going to try and catch up with Todd Richard, Mike Escamilla, who are up at Dirtfish Rally School. Obviously, you know them from Action Sports, but now dabbling in motorsports a bit. So we're going to catch up with them as well. Anaheim up next this weekend. Also, X Games on tap coming up in the next couple of weeks. Got to give a big shout out to Polaris Razor, General Tire, Rigid Industries, Dirtfish Rally School, UPR.com. Check out their new website, Blue Water Resort and Casino, Jmar Performance Brakes, Parker Motor Company, Fredric Aasbo, Ami Houde, Dani Medin, Chris Leone. It has been a great show. Give me a follow at JimBeaver15 on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook.com/DownAndDirtyShow, or catch all our back episodes at downanddirtyshow.com, or our app available on Apple iTunes, Google Play, and the Amazon Kindle store. As always, it is game on. We will see you next week.